world is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the moon landing this month, the first moon landing, and Purdue University claims the first man to walk on the lunar surface as one of, if not its greatest alumni. But how did Neil Armstrong get from from Ohio to West Lafayette? News 18's Trevor Peters and Purdue historian John Norberg tell us the untold story that you have to hear to believe.
It was just 9 months ago that Boilermaker fans watched Purdue upset number 2 Ohio State. The parallels, historians say, are almost similar to what the Boilermakers did against the Buckeyes back in 1945. But today we don't remember what happened on the field that day as much as we remember who was in the stands. Purdue historian John Norberg says if it wasn't for that game, you may not know the name Neil Armstrong.
It's one small step for man.
He had planned to go to MIT, but in 1945, he went to the Ohio State Stadium to watch a football game between Purdue and Ohio State.
Ohio State was one of the best teams in the country that year. They hadn't been scored on or beaten since the year prior.
So Ohio State got out there and Purdue came, led by a self-described skinny freshman quarterback named Bob DeMoss. And he went out there, and just like last fall, Purdue beat Ohio State soundly. And Neil Armstrong was in the stadium at that time, watching the game. And he loved football. He loved football all his life. He got to thinking, you know, I'm planning to go to MIT, but, you know, Purdue football, MIT football, you know, that Purdue is just a couple hundred miles away. Maybe I better take another look at Purdue University. And he did.
Norberg says Armstrong was just like every other student choosing a college. The next Neil Armstrong could be walking the campus today.
Who knows that there was some young person, a high school student, in the stands in October of 2018 when Purdue solidly beat Ohio State in football that day. Maybe a student was encouraged to come to Purdue by that game, and maybe that person will be the first person to step foot on Mars.
At Purdue University, Trevor Peters, News 18.
Well, that's something to think about. News 18's Trevor Peters will be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the lunar landing in the days leading up to July 20th. In a special series of reports, we'll look back on that historic day in 1969, learn more about who Neil Armstrong was, and look into how returning to the moon could be a reality in just the next 5 years. That's coming up the week of July 15th.